Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm back, Alpha Shane 19, coming back at you again with some NFL picks. Before we get started with the picks, remember to like and the video if you like it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, which is probably most of you, because most of you guys are actually not subscribed. Probably at least 99%, I would guess, actually, are not subscribed. So, now that I've got that piece out the way, let's go ahead and get into the picks this week. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings lost their first game of the season this past week against the Detroit Lions. Um, and well, I have to say, even though I didn't make a picks video last week because I was going through a lot of stuff, mostly because I was sick. And still am sort of sick. I mean, I'm a lot better than I was last week, I'll tell you that. But I kind of knew that the Vikings were gonna end up losing before the Chiefs would. The Chiefs are the only undefeated team left. But that being said, I do think the Vikings are better than the Rams, so I'm gonna go ahead and predict the Vikings win here. In fact, go ahead and give them a 24-17 W here. Should be pretty easy for the Vikings to bounce back in this one. Now, since the first 2 weeks of the season are over, the Ravens have been on a tear for the last 5 weeks. And I don't think that's going to stop this week in Cleveland, right? I just don't believe that's going to happen. I think the Ravens, especially without Deshaun Watson, I don't even know who the backup is in Cleveland. Let me go. And Browns. Let me go look here. I guess their last game was against the Raiders here. Oh wait, no, that wasn't it. Cause it was against the Bengals for some reason. It's there. Okay, if honestly, if they start DTR, they're just completely just gonna end up losing like 100%. Okay, so it looks like they're gonna probably. I would guess they're probably gonna go with Jameis Winston, who I think Jamie is actually a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson. However, I don't think he's good enough to be able to beat the Baltimore Ravens, especially with the way that things have gone, especially with the way the Browns have played just overall. Um, Yeah, it says here right there, Browns to start. Jameis Winston. I think the Ravens get this W. I don't see it going any other way than that. I mean, like, the Ravens have beaten much better teams than the Browns. This is the worst team that they've seen on their schedule the entire year. So I think the Ravens will definitely beat the Browns. The Browns look like they did maybe back in 2017 now, right? I've been saying for years that they should have kept Baker Mayfield instead of giving Deshaun Watson a giant contract which he didn't deserve. They're 1-6. I was right. I was always right. And that's how it goes down. The Titan, I think the Ravens are going to win big too. I think they're going to win like 35-10 or something ludicrous like that. Um, the Titans versus the Lions. Well, I think the Lions are going to win this. Will Levis has one win, but I don't think that he's going to get many more than that. I mean, dude is the meme king lord of whatever you want to say, because apparently he's got like a lot of memes or something that are being made of him, but that's not necessarily akin to being a good quarterback. In fact, it's usually not a good thing when memes are made of you. Um, but I do think the Lions will win this pretty easily. I think they're going to go ahead and win like I think Will Levis is one of those guys that can get you around 10 to 17 points every single time he's on the field, but more than that, I don't think so. So I think the Lions are going to win 31 to 17. I'm going to be a little bit nice to the Titans on that one. The Colts versus the Texans. I think the Texans take this one. They're at home. I think the teams that are on the bottom are at home. I would have to double check that. I think that the Texans are just a better team overall than the Colts are. It's a divisional game. These games in the AFC South are usually pretty close, pretty much no matter what. The Packers just snuck up on the Texans last week and beat them, but I don't think that Houston gets upset 2 weeks in a row. I really just don't see that happening, so I think Houston takes this W here, and they go ahead and they win by a score of 24 to let's say 24-22. I think it's going to be a really close game. Packers versus Jaguars. See, the Jags are a disappointing team this year. I think a lot of people expected them to be better than they are this year. Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, is still the best quarterback from that draft class. And that's not saying much, and that might just be because he's the only one that's still really actively starting. I mean, this year it's actually been Justin Fields who's been better because he has like a bunch of wins this season with the Steelers, but I think we can all say that the Steelers look better with um, Russell Wilson than they did with Fields. And I mean, that's not necessarily to say that Fields played bad with the Steelers. It's just more like the Steelers looked better with Russell Wilson. And that's just how it is. That being said, I think that the Packers get this W here pretty easily. I think they win like 24 to like 20 or something. I think it's gonna be a closer. The Jags are a competitive team. They just don't finish games. That's basically what it comes down to. They haven't been finishing games at all this season. I mean, clearly they did twice, but I mean that's not a large amount of times. So yeah. I mean, moving on. Arizona versus Miami. I think Arizona takes this. Miami's a hot garbage bottom tier team that realistically has no chance in actually winning without Tua Tagovailoa. And I mean, the Cardinals are a pretty mid tier team, but I mean, they're still better than Miami. Um, and Tua's not coming back, by the way, like ever, and his career is done. Like literally forever. And it should be because I mean you can't come back after a third concussion. That's just too many. That's like three too many concussions to come back after, especially the type that he's had. But yeah, I mean, like I think that Kyler Murray definitely gives the Cardinals a chance to maybe make the playoffs this year. I mean, at 3-4, they're still within the bubble of, and maybe we could squeak in the playoffs. You know, I mean, it's a losing record, but it doesn't necessarily mean that at this point in the season they can't change that into a winning record down the line. I mean, they're one win away from 500, and I think they're going to get back to 500 after this week. It's what comes after this week that's going to be the challenge for them, because then they have to go string some wins together if they really want to make the playoffs. But I think Arizona takes this game. I'm going to say, like, probably 24-10. I don't know why I like the number 24 this week. I just do. Jets versus New England. I think the Jets actually take this game. It's not going to be a very fun game to watch. I think the Jets win this game 21-7. I don't know why I think the Patriots are even not going to score more than one touchdown in this game, but hey, at least I'm being nice and giving them a touchdown. I think they're going to be the the Patriots are just going to be at the bottom of the barrel for the next like 3 to 4 years, and then they'll work their way back up to where they once were. Probably just not as a dynasty, but being a good team again. But not this year though. Um, And I think even though the Jets kind of suck too, I think that the Jets are still better than teams like the Patriots, and I think that's pretty obvious. So, yeah, I don't really see the Jets losing that one. The Jets are going to win games against teams in their division like Miami and New England, but they're not going to win against like literally anybody else. Philadelphia versus Cincinnati, two teams that are struggling to figure out exactly what they really need to do. You know, normally I would take the Eagles in this situation, but given what Cincinnati has been able to do recently, I think I'm going to have to actually take the Bengals. This might not be like a great take, but I think that the Bengals are always a team that kind of starts clicking around this time of year. I don't know what it is about the Bengals that makes them do that. Whoops. I did not mean to click on that game. I'm going right back. All right. But the Bengals are that type of team that do start looking better around this time of year. I might have actually skipped the game with Atlanta uh, and uh, and Tampa Bay, so I'll go back to that one. Um, there's a lot of games this week. Um, Philadelphia has looked a little bit stingy at times, and they barely got past the Browns last time they played. They must have had a bye week this week because they're only 4-2 and not like 5-2 or something. But yeah, I think Cincinnati takes this W. I think this is gonna be a higher scoring game because it is in Cincinnati. Um, I'll say 31 to like 28. Yeah, Cincinnati gets to win 31-28. I could see that. Atlanta versus Tampa Bay. Now, the Saints looked like they were for real in the first two games in the season, and then they fell off. And now I think the division is between these two teams. The Buccaneers got shellacked by the Ravens, and like I guess the Ravens let up on defense again. I felt so horrible like during this game, man. Like I was so sick when it was on TV, but now, as you can see, I feel way better. Personally feel like the Buccaneers are going to end up winning this game. I just don't really trust Atlanta that much. I mean, this is for first place in this division in the NFC South, which again for like the last like 4 or 5 years is the worst division in football. I mean, good lord, you only have like you only have two teams of over 500, and both of them are 4-3. So after this week, you're only going to have one team above 500, and it's going to be the division leader. And basically, every single other team is besides maybe Carolina, unless unless they get like a miracle win against Denver this week, is gonna still be in it for the division title. And that's quite literally like every season, man. Every season, this division sucks. I don't know what it is, but I think Tampa Bay gets this W, and I'm gonna give them a 31 to 27 W there. New Orleans versus Los Angeles Chargers. Both teams suck, but I think the Chargers suck less. I mean, the Saints have just looked awful, man. I'm gonna give the Chargers the W on this one. I don't think the Chargers are that good, but I do think that they're better than the Saints. I'm gonna have to look up the Seahawks because I actually have no idea what they did last week, if they had a game at all. But I do believe that the Chargers are better than the Saints, and I'm gonna give them a 18 to 12 win. I know, weird score, but trust me, the score is going to be weird with this one, okay? 18-12, Los Angeles takes it. Now, Seattle versus Buffalo. I don't even really need to look it up, actually, when I think about who's going to win this game. I think the Bills are going to win this game pretty easily. I mean, the Seahawks are always in the mix over the last few years. And the reason for that is because their quarterback is Geno Smith. And when you when you have Geno Smith as a quarterback, you become a in the mix kind of team. And by in the mix, I mean very middle of the road. Very middle of the road team, 4-3, has beaten up on teams that are worse than them, has lost to teams that are better than them, and they're playing a team that's better than them this week. It's going to be competitive. I'll give the Bills the 4-point win here, though. 28-24, the Bills take it. The Bears versus the Commanders. Now, I do have to look up Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels, rib week 2 week. So he's not playing this week, basically. I'm guessing. Not practicing Wednesday. Okay, so Jayden Daniels, their star quarterback for the Commanders, is not practicing. That does not necessarily mean Marcus Mariota can't get the win against the Bears. This is a very interesting game because if it was Jayden Daniels versus Caleb Williams, we'd have a nice little storyline. But it's not. So, that being said, I don't really know who wins this game. This is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I think I'm going to go ahead and predict the Commanders here, though. Just because I don't know if this is the type of team that Caleb Williams can really actually beat yet. Right? This is going to be more of a test for Caleb Williams than it will be a test for Marcus Mariota. Because Marcus Mariota has been in the league for a long time. He's one of the best backups you can ever ask to have in this situation. Right. Marcus Mariota is definitely one of the best backups to have here for the Commanders, and I think he's going to look good against the Bears. I really do. The Commanders' defense is their weak point, though, and I think Caleb Williams, with the way that he's developed so far, and I was so happy that he did not turn out to be like this mega superstar like people thought he was going to be, because I knew that he wasn't going to be that guy. I'm happy that he's not. But he is still pretty good, right? He has turned out, like, the first couple weeks looked bad. They did. The first few weeks looked bad. Now things are looking better. That being said, I still think that Caleb Williams is not good enough to win this game here, just because I think that the Commanders overall are better than the Bears on paper, and I think that being at home gives the Commanders a bit of an edge, and I think the Commanders are going to win this game about, I'll go and say 31-24. You know, seems about right to me. Denver versus Carolina. Now, the Broncos have been an interesting team this year. I don't even know what to expect from them at all. But I do think they're going to win this game, because the Panthers are horrendous. Even though Andy Dalton does make them better, they're still bad. I think that the Broncos win this game maybe like, I don't know, 24-20. I'm going to say Denver 24-20 there. Dallas versus San Fran. So, I'm going to go with... This is the type of game the Cowboys lose. I'm going to go with San Francisco. Even though they're banged up and like nowhere close to the team they were last year, I'm still going to go San Francisco because I just don't really trust these Cowboys this year, like at all, right? I'm going to go with a 32 to like 30 win for the 49ers. It's still going to be an interesting and fun game to watch and a high scoring game at that. But I trust the Niners a little bit more injured than I do the Cowboys mostly healthy. New York versus Pittsburgh. I mean, this is going to be a W for the Steelers. This is so obviously a W for the Steelers. I mean, Russell Wilson looked better than Justin Fields did with the Steelers overall. Big shocker there, right? The most overrated player probably in the NFL ever is Justin Fields. And then, like, you have the Steelers, who were a defensive team, putting up like over 30 points on the Jets last week. And now they get the equally, probably even worse team in New York, in the Giants, which that used to be unthinkable that the Giants would be worse than the Jets, but here we are. We're at that scenario where they're actually worse than the Jets. And you know what? I think Pittsburgh definitely wins this game. And see, the Steelers have had such an easy schedule this year. I can't wait until the Ravens play them. Man, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. The Ravens have historically, with Lamar Jackson specifically, been really bad against the Steelers. But I would love to see the Ravens beat down against the Steelers this year. Whenever the Ravens play them, I cannot wait for it. Because the Steelers have just been getting lucky with their schedule this year. They haven't played a team above 500 like all year, man. Like, it's ridiculous, dude. Like, all year. How? Okay, I guess they have played a few teams above 500. But, I mean, the Falcons are barely above 500. The Broncos are barely above 500. The Chargers are 500. The Colts are barely above 500. The Cowboys are 500. The Raiders are below 500. The Jets are below 500. Right? They've played like all of these fringe playoff teams slash like teams that are gonna finish probably outside of the playoffs all year. Right? This schedule they should be where they're at with this schedule basically. Like, this is disgusting. How have they got the Falcons, Broncos, Chargers, Colts, Cowboys, Raiders, Jets, and now the Giants? Dude, they don't even get a real test on their schedule at all until the next few weeks. Like, they're playing through the easy part of their schedule right now. That's why they're 5-2. You get the Commanders and then the Ravens and then the Browns. Okay, you go win against the Browns. Then the Bengals. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 out of your next 4 games are divisional opponents. Actually, if you look at the next 5 games, 4 out of 5 are divisional opponents. And then you get a hard end to the season. So you know what? Good for the Steelers. They got to start the season off easy. But it's going to get harder. Alright? But it's going to remain easy for right now. They're going to be 6-2. Are the Steelers going to make the playoffs this year? I think so. I don't see how with the remaining schedule they don't. I mean, that's going to be a W 6-2 there. You'll probably, if Jaden Daniels comes back, I don't know. It depends on who's quarterbacking for the Commanders, but you might lose there. Let's put that as a W. Put that as an L. Put that as an L right there. Put that as a W. Then take another W there. take a W there, L there. Take it. I'm actually, well, you know what? You can get a W there because that's the home game for y'all. Then you're gonna lose in Baltimore, lose to the Chiefs because everybody loses to the Chiefs, and then we'll see what happens with that Bengals game at the end of the season. Regardless, I do think the Steelers are gonna get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 to 6 more wins on their schedule that they should just be able to get. Right, and they already got 5 W's. They're gonna get 6, at least probably 6 more wins, which would get them to 11 wins on the season. I think the Steelers would probably end the season with probably 11 wins. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Looking at their schedule, they should be at least able to end the season with 11 wins. They're gonna win this game. They're gonna win this game like 32-10 or something, because they're gonna absolutely dominate the freaking Giants. And I'm a Ravens fan. I don't want them to dominate the Giants. So they're going to though, because the Giants suck. Might re-record that. Actually, 26 minutes, not too bad. All right, I'm good.